On Friday, the nation observed the 40th anniversary of the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In June, Americans will mark 40 years since the killing of Robert F. Kennedy. A little-known speech connects those two terrible events, and that's tonight's Sunday cover. How Kennedy's words helped to ease one city's pain. For Vechel Rhodes, 40 years have not dulled the memory of growing up in racially divided Indianapolis.
I'd say it was worse than it was in Mississippi because you couldn't speak your own mind or tell the truth on how you feel about whatever it is.
Nor has his admiration for a young presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy, which is why he and hundreds of others were eager to attend a neighborhood campaign rally on April 4th, 1968.
The white men coming in this neighborhood, especially seeking for the presidency, it was a big deal for the black to be in this area.
This is a CBS News special report.
But hundreds of miles away in Memphis, a tragedy was unfolding.
The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was shot to death by an assassin late today.
We were stopped by the police and advised not to go any further because they were expecting major violence.
His speechwriter, Adam Walinksky, says Kennedy was cautioned to cancel the rally before news of the assassination spread.
Did they know about Martin Luther King?
To a certain extent. It was obvious that nobody knew, nobody had heard about this. His impulse was, I'm going to talk to these people. I'm going to tell them about what's happened.
I have some very sad news for all of you.
Kennedy stepped onto a flatbed truck and spoke from scribbled notes for only 6 minutes.
And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
It was a wave. It made its way back. People, start saying, no, Martin.
It was a speech that Donald Boggs, director of a new documentary chronicling the event, called both profound and personal.
So he could speak from the heart. And so when he says,
I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man.
He doesn't need to mention his brother's name, John. Everybody knows who he's talking about.
That night was the only time that I ever heard him mention his brother's death in public.
My favorite poet was Aeschylus, and he once wrote,
his words gave comfort and calmed a grief-stricken audience.
Against our will comes wisdom through the awful grace of God.
We're grateful probably that he was here, because if he didn't, it would have been just like some most cities, that people just went hell with fires and stuff like that.
At least 125 cities in 28 states experienced unrest. In many urban areas, the violence boiled over for almost 2 weeks. Nearly 50 people died, thousands injured, 21,000 arrested, and millions of dollars in property was destroyed. But not in Indianapolis.
Robert Kennedy's speech was the primary reason why there was no violence in Indianapolis.
A few people in the crowd tried to ignite a response, but Kennedy's words of peace won out.
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
40 years have passed, and while many other tragic events have challenged and stunned the country, the power of Kennedy's message lives on.
I can't imagine a politician today speaking to this primarily black audience and saying, yes, say a prayer for Martin Luther King's family, but more importantly,
to say a prayer for our own country, which all of us love.
Robert Kennedy would be assassinated on June 5th, 1968, shot and killed in a Los Angeles hotel after winning the California Democratic primary.